Well, I don't know where the hell they got their bike from.
You can buy a bike in New York City anywhere.
Well, no, you cannot buy it. I mean, you can steal them anywhere.
You can steal it. You can buy it from somebody who stole the bike. So when we were in Amsterdam, changing topics slightly, we're in Amsterdam, and there, you have the canals. And so we're riding on the boat in the canal, and the guy driving the boat says, "How deep do you think the canal is?" And I guessed, I said 3 meters. I used metric.
Okay.
3 meters.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Right." He says, people say that it's 1 meter of dirt, 1 meter of water, and 1 meter of bicycles. Because they pull thousands of bicycles out of the water every year because everybody rides bicycles around. So we're like, well, why? Because they pull bicycles out of the river. They have to okay, let's dredge the river or the canals, and they dredge it and they just pull all these bikes. So why are all these bikes in the canal? So we asked the guy, and he said, well, a lot of people park their bicycles along the edge of the canal. And if they don't lock it to something, if there's nothing nearby to lock it to, they have a little thing on the back wheel that locks the back wheel, but you can still just pick up the bike and walk away. He said, on a windy day, some of the bikes just...
the wind.
But the other thing so then we were talking to a different guide when we were doing something else. And that guide said, you get a lot of people who will steal the bicycles. And then what they try to do is they try to sell the bicycles. They're people who have a drug addiction. And so they steal a bicycle and they go around and try to sell it for cheap money. And if no one wants to buy the bicycle for them after a while, they don't need it anymore. So instead of just parking it and leaving it on a sidewalk somewhere, they just throw it into the river. But everybody rides bicycles over there. They ride them late at night. People go to the bars drinking and they ride the bicycles. I don't know if they ride the bicycles home. You think about, here in the United States, you have a problem with people getting drunk and then getting in cars driving. I imagine over there they have a problem with people getting drunk and getting on bicycles, but it's not as bad. Like if you're in a bicycle and you get into an accident, unless you happen to ride your bicycle in front of a car, if all you do is ride the bicycle into the tree, not a problem. Or if you ride your bicycle into another person who has... The other thing, though, is they don't wear bicycle helmets. I was amazed by that.
They don't what?
Most of the people don't wear bicycle helmets. So that if you fall down and you hit your head, you don't get a concussion. Over there, they don't seem to wear it. How's the chicken?
It's good, but I like more what you got.
Well, I can get you a sandwich the next time.
Yeah.
Easier to eat. And you said that you used to go to, what was it, Gramercy, Louisiana? And you'd be there for a couple days, and that's where you discovered Popeyes?
I discovered in New Orleans.
In New Orleans? You were going into New Orleans itself?
I was visiting New Orleans because I lived close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Temporary.
Is Gramercy between New Orleans and Mobile, or is it past New Orleans?
Gramercy is between New Orleans and what's the capital of Louisiana?
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
And so that's where you discovered Popeyes.
That's where I discovered Papy.
Did they have Popeyes in West Palm Beach?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, so you had Popeyes when you were living in Alabama, and then you didn't have it for the longest time until you came back up here, and then you found out that I lived next to a Popeyes.
Yeah.
So today, I ordered the Popeyes like I always do on my phone. I go there. Okay, you have my order. Turned out I placed the order at a different store.
You placed the order where?
At a different store. So the place that's close to me, the one that is closest to me, is like a typical, fast food restaurant. They have a drive-through, they have a couple parking spots right in front. That's where I thought I had ordered it. The place I ordered it was actually downtown, along in the middle of a city block with, shoe store and an Indian restaurant. So there's no place to park. So I had to park around the corner illegally. I parked at a place that said no parking allowed. I get there. I'm like 15 minutes late for my order. Like my order was supposed to be picked up at 11:15, and I get there, it's 11:30, so the order should be ready. I get there, where's my order? They didn't have it ready. So they had to make the order, and I'm sitting there going, I need it right now. I'm illegally parked. I don't want to get a ticket. I ended up not getting a ticket, but I got to be careful when I place the order to make sure I do it to the place where they have the parking spots in front. But they have these sandwiches, and it looks just like a breast with the breading and stuff like that. So
the problem with this, I got to have a lot of careful. I don't swallow a little bone.
All right. Well, next time I'll get you the sandwich.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to eat the bread, you can at least take the bread off.
Exactly.
And it's a boneless chicken breast.
I agree. The problem here is all the
Yeah, the bones.
the bones.
Yeah.
It's very simple to swallow a bone, and then you got a problem.
You have a big problem.
Got a big problem.
What do you think you want to do for dinner tonight? Do you want to go to that restaurant, the Colombian restaurant, or do you want me to go get something?
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
That's fine. So Gabriella's back up in Boston.
Oh yeah.
So Gabriella, she works at a consulting firm. They're a firm that does what is termed, it's called economic consulting, and it's kind of like research of data. It's like the type of thing that you might have done at one time if you had gone into consulting, where you crunch data and you analyze the data and all that. And they get hired by law firms. So you have a law firm that, you know, you have these lawyers who don't know how to add one, they don't know how to add 1 + 1. I'm joking, but you know, you have lawyers who aren't really good at analyzing data, or that's not really what their thing is. So what they do is they hire in a consulting firm, like the firm that Gabriella works at. So one of the things that she's working on is a lawsuit regarding these things called the pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs. They're the things that insurance companies and drugstores set up. It's a way for them to make more money in terms of buying the drugs and then reselling the drugs. And that's one of the things, going back to this CEO who got shot, that's one of the things that United Healthcare has is a pharmacy benefit manager, and they're being sued about that. So Gabriella called me up on the day the guy got shot because she's doing work in this space defending pharmacy benefit managers. It's upsetting for her.
The guy who killed the CEO, when he was married at the healthcare insurance.
So changing topics slightly, because we're kind of talking about how people can get really angry with each other and not see the other side's opinion. I remember you telling me, and I think I told Mike Hopkins this, and I told Tom Hopkins something you had told me about how you moved into 17 Hawthorne Lane, and Jack Hopkins was right next door.
Oh, yeah.
And Jack Hopkins was a Democrat, and Jack Hopkins had a difference of opinion, but how you felt. Did you, maybe you told me, or was it might have been Joe Torg who told me this. I remember somebody telling me about how they could have a difference of opinion with Jack Hopkins, but everyone still respected each other at the end of the everyone still respected each other at the end of the day. We don't have that today. I mean, Jack Hopkins had a difference of opinion of you on politics, on music. He played his Irish music. Jack Hopkins was a character.
No.
No, what?
I've met very few people like Jack Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife, Pat.
Why was he so special?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Many years ago.
Many years ago. I do remember you telling me about, I'm pretty sure you're the one who told me this, about moving into the neighborhood and that he made you feel welcome from the very first day. Now here you were, a Cuban family. Where were you moving from, New York or Baltimore?
New York.
New York. So when you came to the United States, you went to New York, then you went to Baltimore, then you went back to New York again, and then you came to Philadelphia. And I just remember you telling me about how you moved into the neighborhood. And even though you were this funny Cuban family, the Lopez-Onas, he made you feel comfortable and accepted right away.
He was a character.
And Mrs. Hopkins,
If I remember correctly, he was the first person who told me I should not buy American cars, that I should buy a Nissan.
well, at that time it was a Datsun. They were called Datsuns.
Yeah.
You remember he had the Datsun 280Z?
Mm-hmm.
But you remember before that, he had the Lancia? Remember that Italian he bought, the Lancia? I think that thing was a lemon. So you listened to what he said, but then you went and you bought the VW Beetle.
The VW Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? The bug,
Herbie the Love Bug.
Herbie the Love Bug.
Herbie the Love Bug.
But he was the first one who had that Nissan.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, it's a car a lot better. Don't get into a Pontiac.
Well, that's what we had was the Catalina.
Catarina Pontiac.
Yeah. We had the Catalina. The blue station wagon. I tell the girls about what it was like back then, that you would have these cars where the last seat faced backwards. You could fold it flat, or you could make the seat come up, but then it faced backwards. And I said, you would do that, and no one was wearing seatbelts.
No.
And the kids, you're driving down the roads, and the kids are like climbing over the seats back and forth, back and forth. Now you got to have everybody strapped in. But back then it was just, you got in a car accident, and shake that car, all those people go bouncing around inside the car. Yeah. We had seatbelts, just no one ever used them.
No. The Catalina Blue was a big car. Wow.
Yeah, imagine the mileage that thing must have gotten. It must have gotten like 10 miles to the gallon.
I would assume so.
And we drove that thing all the way down to Florida. You had all 6 of us in the car. You, Mom, Wani, my Teresa, Cristina, and I. And you had that roof rack.
The cheapest way to get to Florida.
Yep. And you had that roof rack that was like a soft leather thing that we'd strap it down and put stuff up there, put the suitcases up there.
And I remember correctly, one year we left, I don't know, too late, and on the way down we couldn't find a place where to sleep. So I decided to go all the way to Key Biscayne without stopping. Just pick up gasoline and keep on driving.
Well, I remember when you would stop at the Holiday Inn.
Oh, yeah. Going to the pool.
Go to the pool.
Yeah.
That was. We were going all the way. We were going all the way to Key Biscayne to go to the beach, and I was excited because we would get to go to the swimming pool at the Holiday Inn.
I remember it was the big thing for you kids.
And we belonged to Conestoga Swim Club, so it's not like we didn't know what a pool looked like.
That's right, we belong to the Conestoga Swim Club.
So I already, had been spending time in the pool. The Conestoga Swim Club was a great swim club.
It was cold. It was cold, my God. The water came on the stream.
Well, it was a place that you could just take us in, because I remember sometimes you would just drop us off there and you'd give me because at that time you could use a public phone, you could use a pay phone for like 10 cents. And you'd give me some money and I could buy some ice cream and whatever. And then I'd have a dime to call you to say, okay, I'm ready to come home.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I remember using the pay phone there. They had a pay phone. And I'm pretty sure it cost just a dime to use.
A pay phone?
A pay phone at the swim club.
Not the one on the wall, manual?
It was a little booth. This was the original, because you remember at one time, because they were building the Blue Route, they moved the swim club down the hill. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the original one that was at the top of the hill.
The top of the hill.
And so if you remember, you would come through the entranceway, and that's where they would have the desk where you would give them your card. And then you would walk around the desk. And on the other side was where they sold snacks. They sold ice cream bars and this and that. So you would walk around, and then there was like an area that maybe had some picnic tables. And then to the left were the bathrooms, the women's and the men's bathroom. And then just past the bathroom, you would be walking and you would go down the steps to where the baby pool was. But just past the bathrooms, they had a payphone booth.
Oh.
They had a booth, like the traditional payphone booth that you would go in and you'd slide the little door shut.
Yeah.
And so that was, no one had cell phones at that time. And so I would go in there with my dime and call and say, all right, I'm ready to come home. Then they moved down the hill, and I was older, and we had moved to Wooded Lane. And so then I would ride my bike. I would ride, you remember that house that was behind us on Wooded Lane?
Yeah.
Where it had that long driveway? And you could ride up the driveway to the house, and he had two driveways. He had one coming from Wooded Lane, and he had another one coming from the other side. So I could go over to the other side where Spring Mill Drive was. Not Sproul Road, but Spring Mill Drive. Ride my bike all the way down Spring Mill Drive, get to the bottom, and it would connect on Conestoga. And there was a little portion that I would ride on the side, and then there was another road that brought me into the back of the old swim club. And so I could get there in 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And so at that point, I was old enough that you would just, all right, goodbye. And then just come back at the end of the day.
Yeah, I remember the Conestoga Swim Club. And the little water coming in. It was
And
like,
before we joined Conestoga, didn't we join that other one? Are you thinking of Martin's Dam? Because there was another club that we belonged to that had a spring creek feeding
Yeah.
one of the pools. That was Martin's Dam, not Conestoga. That's Martin's Dam that's near here. We were members there, I remember, like for maybe 1 year, and then we joined Conestoga. But that was called Martin's Dam.
oh, that was the first one we joined, and then we went to Conestoga.
Yeah, Conestoga had a traditional
Swimming pool.
concrete swimming pool, long like that, with off to the side a little diving well. And then they had a little baby pool. That was Conestoga Swim Club. Martin's Dam is the one that had one of the pools was fed by a stream.
By a stream.
Yeah, that's Martin's Dam.
Okay. Boy, you're going way, 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 way back.
Well, you remembered the stream. I didn't even know. I was like, stream? Was there a stream at Conestoga? And then I remembered, oh yeah, Martin's Dam. Because I was really young. I barely remember that. Well, don't forget, or just so you know, I also bought the apple pie.
Oh,
So,
let's eat the apple pie.
you want me to put it in the microwave?
Yeah,
Okay.
warm them up a little.
I'm full. I'm not going to eat mine yet.
Did I tell you the
Do
story?
you want more? Do you want more soda?
A little more if you have it.
Oh yeah, I have lots.
You know what happened with the microwaves in here, don't you?
No.
We had a fire in the building. And the problem was an old fart took his underwear and put it in the microwave and put it for 30 minutes, and the underwear got fired.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we had a fire here.
Oh my gosh.
So he wanted to dry them.
Were you the old fart that did that?
No. It was here talking, people talking to it. He wanted to dry them. I don't know. Maybe he got wet. I don't know what it is. But he put them in there, and then he
Forgot, and he put him for a little too long. You put him in for too
He put
long.
it for 30 minutes.
He wanted him. He not only wanted him dry, he wanted him nice and warm and toasty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. This might be a little hot. You might want to let it cool a little. Just give it a minute or two just so it can cool off. Oh.
Yeah, when you start talking about the past, the things that happened,
What?
the things we went through.
I know, but what were you going to say?
No, nothing. Just I remember Christina was a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she used to go from 17 to 19. And the guy 19 was the Admiral von Klick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he loved to have Christina over.
Mm-hmm.
He loved it. Because they got a son who was Ernie.
Ernie, who was not fully there.
No, he was not fully there.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife, I can't remember the name of von Klick's wife. She was from the South.
Right.
I don't know, South Carolina. I don't know from
Mississippi, something like that.
Yeah.
He must have, I guess he must have worked at the Navy Yard, and that's what brought him to Philadelphia. I mean, the Navy Yard was a big.
Was very, very big in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember? What year you came to Jack Frost? National Sugar, 1964. It was before I was born.
I don't remember.
Okay. It had to have been before I was born.
I get very confused in regard to certain events of my life because I mix here with Cuba, with this and that. And I mean, I'm 97.
Yeah, you're about to be 98.
And some of these things happened when I was 30 years old.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I get this mucus.
When you came to New York the first time, what sugar company did you work for? Did you work for Domino in Baltimore?
I worked for Domino in Baltimore.
Who did you work for in New York?
And then I left to go to the Long Island refinery in New York, National Sugar.
Okay.
And then when they closed the Long Island refinery, they transferred me to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And that's how we came to Philadelphia.
Oh.
And we had a problem. I admire your mother. I mean, she was unbelievable. With all the changes we had, go here, there, she never objected to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Fifi was incredible. We didn't have the schools and this and that. She took care of getting everybody upset. She was an incredible woman.
Mm-hmm.
But the Parkinson's got her and killed her.
No, she had a long life, longer than most people. And she had a long life with you.
She was an incredible woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some woman that they just bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch. Not the Fifi.
Mm-hmm.
She went along to anything.
Okay. Well, here, don't forget you have this. This should be cool.
Yeah.
That should be cool. It's cooled down now. It's warm, but it's not too hot.
She was, no, put it in there because...
Okay. I'll leave it inside, and you can just pull it out and eat it.
That's the thing I miss of her.
Well, you had some good trips together.
Oh, yeah.
Cruising in the Baltics.
She was an exceptional woman. But
How's the pie?
it's good. As always.
Yeah. Well, next time we'll get you a sandwich so you don't have to worry about the bones.
And
And if you want, you
it's
can.
good, but it's dangerous.
Well, we'll get you the sandwich so you don't have to worry about the bones. If you don't want to eat the bread, you can just take the chicken off and.
eat the chicken and forget about the bread.
and not have to worry about the bread. And red beans and rice are good.
Well, what games we got today?
Well, I think right now Iowa State should be playing Arizona State. Clemson is playing SMU at some point today. I don't know what time. But the big game in the afternoon around 3 o'clock will be Texas versus Georgia in Atlanta. Did you see any of that game of Georgia and Georgia Tech last weekend?
I don't remember.
Georgia and Georgia Tech played last weekend in Athens, in the home of Georgia. Georgia Tech was winning towards the end of the game when Georgia scored a couple, I can't remember how much they scored, but they scored very late in the game to tie the game. It then went into overtime, and in overtime, they play one overtime, they play a second, and by the time they get to the third overtime, in order to prevent it from lasting too long, all they do is what they call 2-point conversions. You get one play at the opponent's 2-yard line. And it's kind of like penalty kicks in soccer, except it's one play. And you try it. So Georgia Tech would score. Now Georgia has a chance. They have one chance. If they don't score, Georgia Tech wins. Georgia scores. Then they switch. Then Georgia fails to score. If Georgia Tech scores, they win. They fail to score. They did that 7 times.
7 times.
And then on the 8th time, Georgia Tech failed to score, and this time Georgia scored, and they won the game. No, I take it back. They went to 7 overtimes, not 8. They went to 7 overtimes, and Georgia won. But Georgia plays Texas today. Texas is number 2.
Oregon is number 1, right?
Oregon's ranked number 1. Texas is ranked number 2. And Penn State's ranked number 3.
Right.
So Texas plays Georgia for the SEC championship. And then Penn State will play Oregon tonight at 8 o'clock for the Big Ten championship.
Penn State will play who?
Oregon tonight at 8 o'clock for the Big Ten championship.
Been many years that Penn State hasn't.
Yeah. Well, now, so it used to be that they had this college football playoff, and it was just 4 teams.
Yeah.
Now it's 12 teams. If they had it 12 teams the past couple years, Penn State would have been in the playoff. They were always, not always, but they were often like number 6 or number 7 in the country, and they didn't make it. It'd be like Ohio State or Michigan last year, and Georgia and Alabama.
Paterno was the coach of Penn State, no?
Paterno was the coach of Penn State the last time they won the national championship, which would have been, if I remember correctly, I think the last time they actually was like 1990. I think they were undefeated and they were number 1. Because remember, they used to have 2 different polls. They used to have the AP poll, the Associated Press, and then they used to have something called the UPI poll, which was the coaches. And I think one year Penn State ended the season undefeated, and they were number 1 in one poll, and someone else was number 1 in the other poll. But the last year that they won, they were number 1 in both polls at the end of the season, was my senior year at Penn State when they beat Miami in the Fiesta Bowl. And that was the year
The Jimmy Johnson came from Miami.
Jimmy Johnson came from Miami, and that was the year that I was down in West Palm Beach when Penn State was going out to Arizona to play in the Fiesta Bowl. And the day after they beat Miami, I was wearing a Penn sweatshirt. I'd gotten this sweatshirt when Lonnie was at Wharton, and I had a Penn sweatshirt. And I was walking around wearing the Penn sweatshirt, and people were coming up to me and saying, Penn State's a great team. Like Joe Paterno is really good. And I'm just sitting there looking at him going, Penn, Florida, Penn State, Florida State, 2 different schools. But no one knew, a lot of people didn't know that Penn meant the University of Pennsylvania. Because they don't have a football team, or not one that's really good.
Yeah, one time Penn State was a powerhouse.
Penn State was a powerhouse. Yeah. They're a good team now, but they're not the team that they were with Joe Paterno, where they were one of the best teams.
I remember you telling me that you were going to Penn State, and in the campus, Paterno was like a god. People driving fast or that, and he would stop and say, no.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is true.
You told me that story.
Yeah. He saw somebody one time go through a stop sign, didn't stop at a stop sign. And he was in his car. And he chased the person down in his car and got the person to pull over. And got out of his car and walked up to the other person's car and started yelling at them, telling them, you can't drive through a stop sign. You have to stop at a stop sign. It's incredible how big Penn State is. That campus is enormous.
Penn State?
Oh, yes.
You're talking what, 30,000 people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has its own bus system. They have a bus that goes around the campus, just taking people around the campus.
You got to pay or free?
Free. I know that you went to a really cold school. I just remember one time I had to walk to the library. It was in December, before, right around the time of finals, before heading down to Florida for, winter break. I had to go across campus, and I just remember walking across campus, and my teeth were going. I couldn't stop my teeth from chattering. Just walking across campus, and my teeth were just going. It was so cold, I couldn't believe it. I think that's the coldest I've ever been. Yeah. And I remember I was up there. I transferred from Franklin and Marshall to Penn State, and I was worried that I would lose credits. So I went to school for the summer at Penn State before my junior year. So I entered sophomore year at Franklin and Marshall in September, went all the way through May, and then in June started at Penn State and went from June all the way to the following May. And I just remember waking up in the summertime in July at Penn State and going to the class in the morning, early in the morning, and seeing my breath. It was cold in the morning. Very early in the morning, it would be cold. By the middle of the day, the temperature is 90 degrees. But in the morning, when you walked out of your apartment building to go to class, it could be like 40 degrees out.
Wow.
Because you're up in the mountains.
Why did you switch from
I was not having a good time at
Eh?
why did I switch from Franklin and Marshall to Penn State?
Yeah.
I was not having a good time there. You remember that I went there and I was going to play football and I was going to play lacrosse and I was an athlete. And I finished my freshman year and I really didn't have any friends. The people that I was supposed to be friends with, I wasn't part of the football team. I didn't feel that I connected with them. I came back from my sophomore year and they just put me in a room with some other guy. I didn't have anybody that I wanted to be a roommate with at the end of my freshman year, so they just put me in a room with another guy, and I was like, I'm not having a good time here. And a whole bunch of my friends were up at Penn State. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to transfer up to Penn State where...
Franklin and Marshall was in Lancaster, was it?
Yep. Franklin and Marshall's in Lancaster.
It's still there?
Still there. I know how to drive there. I went there so many times. I know how to drive there, like the back of my hand. There was one time, I think, so you moved to Alabama after my freshman year. So I injured my knee in August of 1983. You guys moved to Alabama in 1984.
Whoa.
And so...
I remember you in the Volkswagen.
Yeah, you came and picked me up.
I picked you up in the Volkswagen.
You remember the doctor told you... Dr. Torg was the one who took
Torg.
Yeah. But you picked me up at the hospital in Lancaster, and you came into the hospital, and the first doctor you met said, I'd be lucky if I could ever walk upstairs normally again. And you told me that he said that to you. I wasn't with you. He pulled you out of the room and said, I could possibly lose my leg.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'd be lucky to walk upstairs normally again. And you said, I'm getting him the hell out of here. I'm getting him to Philadelphia. Now, to get into the car, you had the VW Rabbit that only had the front doors that opened. And I had to go into the back seat.
Yeah, you were in the back seat.
I had to climb into the back seat with my leg.
Right.
All bandaged, all, immobilized. But you took me, you drove, they called you up, told you what happened. And where are you going? Do you have to go to the bathroom?
No.
What's the matter?
Sit there, more comfortable.
Oh,
there.
okay.